Cool, you ready? We say we're close to Safari Lodge, guys. River 4. Start. Alright guys, I'm sitting with the Ottawa Pride. There's 3 juveniles, there's 3 youngsters there. We've got a slightly larger sub-adult, which is this guy over here. You can just see the start of the mane. He's actually looking incredibly good. We've got 3 females, okay, and then the large male, which is sitting just off on the right hand side here. Looking all very fat and healthy. Looks like they've come off a kill recently. At least we've got a head up. Otherwise the rest of them are displaying what lions are really known for, which is lying around.
So I believe you're correct in the way that they have had a good week. They've managed to feed on a large kudu, big kudu bull 2 days ago. Prior to that though, the old man spent a few days by himself. I'm sure he's glad he got to join with the ladies again. But yeah, as Brandon said, everybody fat and happy at the moment.
I'm just going to reposition so we can have a look at this before. He's got his eyes open. As it starts cooling off, we're starting to see a little bit of activity as in they're starting to roll over. There's, like I said, there's one head up, eyes opening, ears flicking a lot. We saw one grooming a lot as we were coming down. So as it starts cooling off, they're going to start getting a lot more active, and hopefully during the course of the late afternoon going into evening, we'll start seeing a lot more activity as they start getting ready. Now, even though they've just come off a kill, they are opportunistic creatures, so there's the chance that if something had to walk in right now, that they would get up and obviously start stalking. However, during the course of a day, they are listening and they're honing in on information that's happening around them. So they could be hearing maybe wildebeest or zebra within the vicinity, which is obviously a good prey item for a pride of lion. It would mean that everybody gets a chance to feed. They would hone in on that and kind of get an idea of what's operating around them so that they have a plan at least for this evening and for their hunting.
fortunate again in the way that we've had very good weather. And as the wild dogs did last week, you can see how the lions have settled in a drainage line. It's nice and cool down here. It's good shade. Got a nice big sausage tree above us. And the good river sand's nice and cool as well.
With the big male with his eyes open. It's quite incredible how that lion has come back. When we initially started seeing him, he looked absolutely horrific. He had lost potentially most of his mane. And lions, male lions, their mane grows obviously also due to genetics, but also with nutrition. All right, so that incredibly impressive head of hair has got a lot to do with how that animal is feeding and how they're actually feeding their bodies to come out with that hair. Lack of nutrition would mean that their hair is to start slipping. The body doesn't need it, they shed it off. But over the last year and a half, his mane has come back in such an incredible way. It's lovely and dense and thick again, all right? And he's obviously in turn showing signs that he is territorial, marking, roaring. He seems to think that he's a young male again. As you guys can see, we are literally in Safari Lodge. The lions came walking through this morning. We had a troop of baboons that were absolutely going bonkers for them. They were shouting and screaming, and we'd been coming in and maintaining the lodges, so we picked up on their tracks quite quickly and in turn found them quite quickly. But now that the lodges are very quiet and settled, there's a lot more animal activity that we're finding. Elephants coming through virtually every single day. As you can see, the lions sitting right here. We've had the odd leopard here and there. So absolutely incredible how nature is taking over as far as taking advantage of the fact that there's nobody around.
I believe they drank out of the pond in front of the bar at Safari Lodge on their way through. When I was filling the bar or the pond because of the elephants, I saw the lion tracks there. So,
Tough for them, there's no beer at the bar.
suppose one thing that the lions could be waiting for is there's a very small moon at the moment. When there's little moon, there's little light for the prey to see the lions. So often in the darkness, or an overcast evening or a rainy evening, they'll do more hunting because their superior nocturnal vision gives them that advantage over the prey. And so the lionesses, with their experience, could be conserving their energy and waiting for the darker hours.
The female's having a lovely stretch. Was it the young male there? It's the young male. Also, just starting off on the rough, the one that's on the furthest to the left. It's quite a nice view is around the stomach and the back legs, where you can see the cub spots, which all lions are born with. They are born very spotted, very dark, to blend into thickets that their mothers would store them in, leaving them for periods of time to go off hunting. And as they start growing, the cub spots start fading, and eventually, hopefully, well, not necessarily hopefully, but eventually should disappear totally. However, there are some females that I have seen that will have spots right throughout their lifespan, just very faded.